How do I go about getting closure from a breakup with my ex? So my ex-boyfriend broke up with me a few months ago, and I would say it ended pretty well, at least I think so. I had been mentally preparing myself to break up with him soon, so it kind of worked out for both of us. I knew he didn't seem to love me as much as I had loved him, nor was I ever a priority for him throughout our 2-year relationship. I can confidently say I have moved on and I've started a new relationship which just feels so much more healthy and loving. It's kind of crazy the difference when someone actually puts in genuine effort and care. However, there is something that keeps bothering me about the breakup, and that is I never really got closure from it. He gave like so many half-assed reasons for breaking up, all of which he couldn't support when I asked why. But I didn't care too much at the time because he did the breaking up for me and I knew it was time to break up. So, the reason I am confused is because thanks to my sister's belief, as well as friends and family, I think he was cheating on me or was about to. Now, throughout our relationship he always assured me that he never cheated on me nor would, but he did emotionally cheat once. However, towards the end of our relationship he got incredibly close with one of his friends who was a girl. And I mean he was either in her college dorm room or she was in his, or they were somewhere else together. Also, keep in mind this was a long-distance relationship, and I lived in another state during that time. However, I had a lot of trust in my ex-boyfriend at the time, so it never really crossed my mind that he could be cheating, whether physically or emotionally. But, about a month ago my sister said her and her girlfriend thought my ex-boyfriend was cheating on me because you don't spend 24/7 with someone and do the stuff they did if they weren't mildly interested in one another or having something going on. However, I didn't believe it because I had just blindly believed him for so long. But after I thought about different situations and events with the idea that he had been cheating or wanted to, some stuff started to make more sense. I could list everything that he did that was strange, that with the mindset he was cheating, would explain these strange behaviors, but that's a waste of time for everyone. So, I guess my question to you all is whether or not I should reach out and ask if he ever had another relationship or thought about one with the girl he was friends with. With having a new relationship that I'm so happy and hopeful for, I want my mind to be completely free of my past relationship, in the sense I no longer feel anger towards myself for being in it. And I think my anger comes from a lack of clear closure, because I certainly have zero feelings left for him and mild hate. Thanks for your advice and patience for reading all of this. Comment. I wouldn't reach out. If you felt like the relationship was running its course and that you weren't being made a priority in the relationship, does the extent of the mistreatment really matter? Next story 2. My avoidant middle-distance partner asked for a few days of space after dropping a bomb. Did he have an obligation to talk with me before taking his requested space? I have been dating my middle-distance partner, Walter, for 2 years. I say middle distance because while we only live about 30 minutes apart, we both have kids from prior relationships and our schedules usually only allow us to meet up once or twice a week. I think we are in a classic avoidant, him/anxious, me, attachment coupling. We have discussed this in the past and do our best to navigate it and respect each other's boundaries. Sometimes when Walter gets overwhelmed, he will ask to not talk for a few days. This is difficult for me, but over our time together I've learned to not feel threatened by it and to let him have his time. I am coming here with concerns as to how he has gone about it this most recent time. This past Wednesday, Walter missed our weekly hangout due to an unexpected conflict with his child's mother, Jessica. They had a disagreement over their parenting time that got heated and I understood why he wasn't able to make it. It was especially disappointing because it was our last opportunity to see each other before I have a busy stretch, so we will probably go about 3 weeks before our schedules align again. I should explain that Jessica knows we are dating, is unhappy about it, very opposed to me being involved with their child, and tries to convince Walter to get back together still sometimes. I know it is difficult for him to navigate Jessica's hostility, and so I wasn't surprised when our communication was less than usual over the next 2 days. On Friday we barely spoke at all, despite our cadence being a never-ending text conversation where we usually hear back from each other every 2 to 3 hours. However, it's totally okay that sometimes he needs some space and it's my responsibility to manage my anxiety during those times. That night, Walter said he was feeling overwhelmed and that he was thinking of taking his daughter to the beach the next day for a quick overnight to stay at a friend's house. For some background on this specific beach house, Walter and Jessica actually took their child to the beach at this friend's house last year for their child's first time ever at the beach. I was supportive at the time. We had been together for about 15 months. Kids' firsts are special. However, I found out about a month after the trip that Walter and Jessica sleep together night. He said that they were relaxed and having a nice time and it just happened, but maintained he had no feelings for her and didn't want a relationship with her and it was a mistake. We broke up for about a month but reconciled after he said he wanted to be a family with me and assured me that nothing of that nature would happen again. Back to the present, I knew this weekend was Jessica's time with their child and she generally does not ever budge on their arrangement and hops on any opportunity to make Walter feel obligated to spend time with her. So I asked the obvious question, is Jessica coming? That message sat undelivered all night and so I figured he fell asleep. On Saturday morning, yesterday, the morning of the proposed spur-of-the-moment trip to a place where he did something shitty last time he was there, he messaged me back and said Jessica was probably coming. He also apologized for the last 2 days of abnormally low communication and said he went into a hole and he was sorry. I was already feeling a little off-kilter and anxious because he'd needed some space and we'd missed our chance to see each other this week. So I was leaving the messages undelivered while I collected my thoughts, but then he happened to message while I was holding my phone. Here's how our texts went over the next 30 minutes. Walter, look, please don't get in your head about this. It's hard to be reassuring right now from my end right now. I assume he meant it was hard because he was feeling overwhelmed and withdrawn. Me, you're going back to a place where you did something really terrible with the person you did it with. I am trying not to be in my head about it. Walter, okay. Let's just take a couple days. I'll talk to you on Monday. Me, I don't want to take few days. Just maybe promise to not have such a relaxing time that you do something that would make me feel awful. Walter, okay, I promise, but I don't want to talk until Monday. Me, I'm not mad. I actually had a weird dream about what happened last year happening again last weekend and it was very heavy and made me feel a little shitty. Walter, I don't care about your dream. I really don't. I don't know how to help you. But it can't be me this weekend. It has to be somebody else. I'll talk to you Monday. Have a fun weekend with your kids. And then I spiraled a bit. My messages became a bit anxious. Me, no, I know it's just a dream. You don't have to shut down. This is fucked up and so mean. I am literally trying to be okay with it and you just piece the fuck out. It would have literally been a 5-minute conversation to help me feel okay about this and then I still would have been understanding that you're going to be busy and not on your phone. You did not have to shut shit down like this. You could have handled this with care and concern and love and it really fucking sucks that you did not care to do that. The problem is not this trip at all. I support you doing things and seeing your friends and having a nice time with your child. Walter, whatever. I understand I can't do anything right by you right now. I'm sorry I can't this weekend. I can't reassure you. I can't find the right things to say. I promise I won't do anything to betray you. And that's the last message. Today is Sunday. Tomorrow is Monday. I apologized for snapping. I apologized for asking him to promise not to do something he has already promised not to do. I told him I hoped he had a nice time. Then I told him that he created a situation that he had an obligation to handle with care and love and compassion. These messages are sitting undelivered. And here is where I'm stuck. I know he needs space when he's feeling a lot of pressure. I know dealing with Jessica is difficult and can make him shut down. He's been really stressed about work lately too. Absent this trip to his friend's house, I really wouldn't have been surprised if he'd asked to take a few days away from communicating. Even if it makes me a little anxious, he has to put on his own air mask first or whatever. But he dropped that he was going back to a place he did something bad with the person he did it with, and I had less than an hour with the news before he cut off communication. I think he probably was trying to avoid a fight. Or maybe he knew what he was doing could be triggering for me and felt guilty about it and got defensive. I feel he had an obligation to talk with me and make sure I was comfortable before going low contact. However, I am worried this is my anxiety clouding my perception. I do not want him to compromise on his needs for the sake of my anxiety. I honestly think I would have been fine with it if he'd delivered the news, acknowledged why it might be hard for me, and worked with me on a plan to help me feel assured and supported. This is still his child's mom, and I support them co-parenting and giving their child experiences where both of their parents are civil and present. I support him setting boundaries when he needs space. I feel completely responsible for my anxious attachment needs. I chose to re-enter the relationship after what happened with him and Jessica. However, this doesn't feel like a reasonable time for him to shut down. I can't tell if I should be honoring his request for space or if I'm valid in feeling disrespected by his request for space immediately after telling me about this trip. Additional background for anyone who still may be reading and wondering why Jessica hates me: Walter and I met very quickly after he and Jessica separated. It was supposed to be casual, so I didn't care that he was recently separated. We developed feelings and it stopped being casual. Jessica feels that they would have gotten back together if I were not around. She has always resented me and tries to make our relationship difficult. She considers me a homewrecker for seeing him knowing he was separated but still married. Comment. Okay. So is this what you want your life to be? Catering to someone who refuses to acknowledge when something might be hurtful/anxiety ridden for you and ghosts you when you want to speak about it? If you choose to stay with him, you need to decide what your expectations are for him to be a good partner to you and hold him accountable if he does not meet those expectations. Or you will always come last. Your needs will always be less important. His actions and words scream that he doesn't consider you important. In fact, he just doesn't consider you. Also, the whole time I read the text you sent him, that was perfectly reasonable and not something you needed to apologize for. I was like, yes. Preach. You are intelligent, insightful, and I'm guessing you don't take crap like this in other areas of your life. I actually don't think this has anything to do with you having anxious attachment. I thought you were perfectly reasonable the whole time. I wonder what his reaction would be if the tables were turned and you were going on a lovely beach vacation with a guy you previously slept with while the two of you were together. I'm guessing he wouldn't like it very much. He also sounds like he doesn't handle stress well. And is trying to keep two women happy. I don't think I'd be happy with a man that was beholden to any other woman. Co-parent or not.